Market update April 2026. So, this is what I'm seeing right now. Fires come to me, budget about 750,000, Eastbound in mind, Mount Pleasant, Grandview Woodlands, Fraser. They've done their homework. They've watched the market all winter. They've seen the headlines and they've landed somewhere reasonable. Inventory is up, prices are still off from last year's highs, and this is a buyer's market. They have time, they have leverage. Then they make their first offer below asking and it doesn't land. Then they try again. Same result. We're having our third conversation, and I just need to be direct. The buyer's market story isn't wrong, but it isn't the whole story either. And in the areas where they want to buy, the broader average is actively working against them. I'm sharing this because it's a pattern playing out across Vancouver right now. And if you're buying or selling in the next 60 days, this split is going to matter more than any headline you've read. The April 2026 data has just dropped, and here's exactly what it says and what it means for your next move. Let's start with the honest big picture. Inventory is back. Across Metro Vancouver, active listings climbed 9 to 16% month over month in almost every segment. That build has been underway since the winter lows, and it's real. Prices are sitting around roughly 5 to 12% below where they were a year ago, depending on the area and the property type, of course. That year over year softness is meaningful. It represents genuine purchasing power for buyers who have been sitting on the sidelines wondering if they missed something. Well, they haven't. The sales to active ratio, the number I use to read how fast any given market is actually moving, is clustered between 12 and 18% across most of the region. Below 12% is a buyer's market. 12 to 20% is a balanced market. Above 20 is a seller's territory. So the broad read is balanced market, more options than a year ago. Prices have pulled back. If you're a buyer with a clear target, this environment clearly works for you. And here's where the headline numbers start to work against you. Because if you're using Metro Vancouver average to set your expectations, your offer strategy, your timeline, your sense of how much leverage you have, you may be solving the wrong market entirely. The buyers I described at the start weren't uninformed. They did their research. They just used citywide data to make a neighborhood level decision. And that gap between those two things is exactly where deals are falling apart. The story inside that average is very different depending on where you look. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's start with downtown Vancouver first. Downtown attached condos and townhomes is running at 13% sales to active ratio. Balanced. Buyers have breathing room. The median sales price in April was 768,000, essentially flat from March. Homes are selling at 96% of list price on average. But here's the number that surprised me. Days on market dropped from 22 to 16 in a single month. That's a 27% drop. While inventory climbed 10% at the same time, more supply hitting the market, properties moving faster. That's not a pattern of a declining market. The 600 to 700,000 band is the engine right now, running at 23% sales ratio. That seller's market territory inside an otherwise balanced picture. Yaletown is leading at 16%. Cole Harbour and the West End are both at 12%. If you want to be in the downtown core and you want more room to negotiate, Cole Harbour and the West End are your entry points right now. Vancouver West. West side attached is balanced at 15% overall. Median sales price came in as 925,000, up 1% from March. But the neighborhood breakdown tells you where the action actually is. Fairview, 25% sales to active ratio. Kitsilano, 25%. Kitchilla, 29%. Shaughnessy, 30%. Those are seller market conditions in those specific pockets. And if you're buying there, you need to show up ready. On the buyer side, if you want the west side with more negotiating room, there's three neighborhoods that are clearly standing out. Dunbar at 7%, Marpole at 6%, and Oak Ridge at 6%. Those are value pockets on the west side right now. Deals are ready to be had. West side detached, buyer's market. Straight up, 9% sales ratio. Homes are selling at 7% below list price on average. Days on market, 56. If you're a buyer with a detached budget on the west side, you have real time and leverage. Do not waste it. Now, East Vancouver. This is the one I want you to pay close attention to. East Van attached is at 18% overall, the upper edge of balance. But watch what the neighborhood breakdown shows. Fraser, 36% sales ratio. That's a seller's market. Victoria, 26%. Main Street, 29%. Grandview Woodland, 22%, Mount Pleasant, 23%, and the entry price band, 300,000 to 400,000, is trading about 42% sales ratio, effectively a seller's market with a broader balanced one. The sales to list ratio in East Van actually tightened in April, moving up 97%. Sellers are getting close to what they're asking, not further away. This is not a neighborhood where you arrive with a lowball offer and expect it to land. East Van Detached tells a similar story. Grandview Woodlands at 33%, Hastings Sunrise 27%, Night at 18%. These sellers have options. And this is exactly what I'm seeing play out with buyers who plan based on broad market average. They're using the right data for the wrong area, and it's costing them deals. Now, quickly on the broader region, North Vancouver attached had a strong April, no surprise. Median sales price crossed $1 million for the month, up 18% from March. Lynn Valley is running at 33% sales ratio. North Van is quietly one of the most active markets in the region right now. Ladner Detached is one of the few spots in Metro Vancouver still in a full seller's market territory, 21% sales ratio. Hawthorne at 33%, Delta Manor at 33%, flying under the radar. West Vancouver, by contrast, is the clearest buyer's market in the region. Detached at 8%, attached at 10%. Homes are selling 8% below list on average. If you are shopping in West Van, you have genuine time and genuine leverage. Now, here's the part most people aren't factoring in, and it changes the calculation. The Bank of Canada held its policy at 2.25% on April 29. That's the fourth consecutive hold following the cuts through 2024 and 2025. The next announcement is June 10th. And here's what the financial markets are pricing in right now. Not another cut, a hike. Energy prices are climbing. Headline inflation is creeping back towards 3%. The picture that looked so clear 6 months ago is getting more complicated. What that means practically is 2.25% is probably as low as the rate cycle gets. If you're a buyer who's been waiting for rates to come down further before pulling the trigger, you may be waiting for something that just doesn't come. The combination buyers have it right now. Inventory at reasonable levels, prices 5 to 12% off last year's highs, rates near neutral. That window is narrowing. So, what does this actually mean for you? Well, if you're buying, get clear on which submarket you're actually operating in. Downtown and much of the west side give you time and negotiating room. East Van demands faster execution and realistic offers. Don't use the broad market average as your pricing anchor. A 13% overall sales ratio for downtown doesn't tell you what's happening at the 600 to 700,000 level. A 15% west side number doesn't tell you Kitsilano is running at 25%. You need neighborhood level data before you make an offer, not citywide averages. And on the rates, the financing environment right now is likely better than what's ahead. If you've been waiting for that perfect moment, this one is the closest to it than most people realize. If you're selling, pricing off 2025 comparables, it's going to cost you. Buyers have access to the same data you do, and they know when something is overpriced from day one. The difference between 16 days on market and 45 is almost never luck. It's pricing and presentation. If you're in Fairview, Kitsilano, Fraser, Mount Pleasant, or Grandview Woodlands, priced right, and presented well, you have real leverage right now, so use it. If you're selling a detached on the west side or in West Vancouver, the leverage runs the other way. You're in the buyer's market. The strategy is different and the timeline needs to match that reality. Before I close, I want to hear from you. What area are you watching right now? And does the data match what you're actually seeing on the ground? Because that gap between what the numbers say and what buyers experience in real life is always worth talking about. Drop it in the comments. I read all of them. The single most important thing to take away from April's data, this is not one Vancouver market. It's several markets running at different speeds. And that strategy that works in one will fail in another. If you're trying to figure out which market you're actually in and what it means for your next move, that's exactly what I do with clients. The link to book a 20-minute call is in the description below. We cut straight to what matters. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, consider subscribing. And it means you'll see the next one. I put one of these out every month. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.